What's going on, everybody? It's Ty, aka Midwest Reefer, and I'm back with a brand new video today. Today, the topic's going to be something that I get quite often in my DMs, my private messages on YouTube, things like that, mainly by newer reefers. But I believe that this topic can be something that we can all put our opinions down in the comments section below. Because honestly, I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. I think it just comes to knowledge, skill set, and determination. But today, what we're going to talk about is what's easier to take care of: a big tank, a nano tank, or a pico tank? So let's go ahead and get into the video. I'll give my 2 cents. Hopefully we keep it short and sweet today. And yeah, so when you're first starting off reef keeping and you're trying to decide which tank size you should go with, first off, I'd say go with what you like and what looks appealing to you. However, you need to have the correct mindset once you make your decision. This hobby isn't for people that are lazy. This hobby isn't for people who don't like to learn and grow. So if you kind of like sticking with the same thing and the status quo, you're probably not cut out for this hobby. And if you are lazy, then you're definitely not cut out for this hobby, because these tanks do take maintenance. Is it hard maintenance? No, but it does take consistency with the maintenance. So with that being said, when you're starting off reef keeping, a lot of people are going to tell you that a larger tank is easier to keep, and that's why you see a lot of these new reefers with this like really big tanks off the bat, and you're like, oh man, that's kind of like overkill. But actually, they're helping their chances of successful reef keeping. But it really just comes down to the person at the end of the day. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive in, and I'll try to explain why a lot of people say a larger tank is easier to use or maintain than a smaller tank. So with a larger volume of water, you're going to have more errors or more margin for error. You're going to have more forgiveness. For instance, if I have a cup of water here and I have a 10-gallon bucket of water over here somewhere, and I drop the same amount of poison or chemical into the water, I'm going to have a higher poison to water ratio in the cup versus a lower poison to water ratio in the bucket. All the bad things that can happen from having that poison or incorrect things in your tank is going to spread a lot quicker in the smaller volume of water than it's going to in a larger volume of water. So whether that's shampoo or hand lotions, perfume or cologne that was on your hand or something like that, something spilt into the tank, it's going to be more diluted and less potent in a larger volume of water. Normally with the larger tanks, salinity swings don't happen as quickly. Temperature swings don't happen as quickly. And then on the larger tanks, you also run more equipment normally. Most people are running a sump, I would say like 40 gallons and up. A lot of people run sumps. And what that does is allow you to have like your media reactors and your protein skimmers and your UV sterilizers, and a lot of that stuff is just more equipment that you can throw into the tank to help keep those water parameters in check. So again, when it comes to water quality and you starting out, the larger tank is probably going to be easier for that. However, I think it changes over sides when it comes to day-to-day maintenance and startup cost. So with the nano and pico tank, since we are using less equipment, it is cheaper, it is less heat, it is less power. There's less to maintain. I don't have to worry about cleaning out my canisters and cleaning out my protein skimmer, my reactors. I don't have to worry about cleaning out the sump or maintaining that. Water changes are going to be a lot cheaper or a lot quicker if you're making your own water, because 10% of a smaller volume of water is going to be less than 10% of a larger volume of water. Scraping the glass, siphoning the sand bed, that's all going to be a lot faster and easier to do on a smaller tank than it would a larger tank. And then the equipment, smaller power head, smaller auto top off, smaller light, smaller heater, sorry. All that's going to be cheaper to purchase than it would be on a larger tank. Even down to the stand, if you're using less material, the stands normally cost you less money. Now I built my stand, so that doesn't really matter. I guess I could have gotten expensive. I could have went as expensive as I wanted to, but you get the point. Since I'm using less on these smaller tanks, the upfront cost is just cheaper. Maintenance is just faster and quicker. And with the right kind of knowledge and, you know, the mindset, there's no reason why you can't keep a smaller tank. I use an auto top off that helps me keep the salinity in check. I have a smart light that has a pro controller to help keep the algae down. I have my filtration basket, you know, with the right kind of filtration that I need for this tank. And as I said, this tank is over a year old and it keeps getting better with age. And it's easier just to focus on the tank and pay more attention to the individual coral in a smaller tank. Speaking of smaller tank and individual coral, let's go over and take a look at the Pico. All right, everyone, so we're here at the Pico tank. This tank, talking about upfront costs, this tank right here cost me probably 120 bucks, including the custom stand that I made. Tank was like 40, light was like 50. You know, the rock was like $2, the sand was like $5. All this stuff right here, probably 120 to 150 bucks to set up. Now it is a lot more of a low tech tank. It doesn't have an auto top off. It doesn't have a fancy light. Pretty much just a power head, a light on a timer, analog timer, and some basic filtration. That's it on this tank. Now since I am so particular about everything and I have OCD, for somebody like me, this tank is actually really easy to take care of and quite satisfying. With a smaller tank like this, I notice changes faster with the water quality. I notice when things go wrong, but I also can't afford to not check the salinity of the water every day. I can't afford to not check on the temperature every day. I can't afford to, you know, let things fall into this tank that shouldn't fall into this tank, because it's a lot smaller and it will get devastated a lot quicker because of that. But again, purchasing the tank and setting it up and then doing the daily maintenance or the weekly maintenance as far as water changes, vacuuming the sand bed, scraping the glass, so on and so forth, is going to be a lot cheaper and a lot easier. So in my opinion, I definitely love my Nano, my Pico tanks. I wouldn't give them away or trade them for anything in the world. Large tanks are very awesome, especially like in large display areas, but for someone that wants to enjoy this hobby thoroughly, I think they would enjoy a Nano, but you do need to pay attention a lot more. But again, this is up for debate. There is no right answer to this. So if you guys agree, disagree, have something else to throw or add into it, definitely leave it down in the comments below. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.